Hey everyone, my name is Aaron. Welcome back to the Critic Sensei YouTube channel, your go-to channel for movie reviews, TV reviews, and updates with the entertainment industry. On this channel, we sharpen the edge of entertainment, one critique at a time. So today we're diving into the massive flop that's been on everyone's radar for the last couple months now. And that, of course, is The Acolyte. Definitely the worst project that Lucasfilm has ever created. It was the lowest rated, lowest viewed Star Wars project to ever be created. And before we get this video started, I want to thank all of you guys for the support. You guys are absolutely crushing the like button, subscribing to the channel, and it means so much finding other like-minded people who don't want that DEI message pushed upon them and just want great entertainment. Again, thank you guys for the support, and let's start today's video. Even though Season 2 was cancelled, there's so much drama going around this project. Now, it's no secret that The Acolyte is one of Lucasfilm's biggest failures. And we really gotta talk about how Kathleen Kennedy and CEO Bob Iger let this happen. Sure, Kathleen Kennedy has been running Lucasfilm for the last 12 years, but Bob Iger gave the green light for this project. And of course, here we are. We watch another project crash and burn, and of course Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger will not take responsibility for their actions. Now let's talk about the cast and crew, especially Jodie Turner-Smith. They have turned their frustrations again towards the fan base. We've been seeing this a lot at Disney, if it's the Lucasfilm side, Marvel side, or the live action side. It seems like when projects are not doing well or they've failed horribly, instead of taking responsibility for these projects, they'll blame the fan base or the audience, calling them toxic. Instead of taking responsibility for the show's shortcomings, of course they are blaming the fans, saying that anyone who didn't like the show is simply against diversity and inclusion, which is honestly insanity. The Acolyte was just a bad show. Just because someone doesn't like a television show or movie doesn't mean they're not for diversity and inclusion. Jodie Turner-Smith came out swinging, stating it's the fans' fault for not accepting the diverse direction of The Acolyte. Again, it's the people involved with these DEI projects that fail miserably that are blaming the fans for their shortcomings. And this has to stop. The Acolyte got an 18% Rotten Tomatoes audience score. It was the lowest rated Star Wars project to ever be created, and it was also the lowest viewed Star Wars project. And looking at the viewership numbers, people would start episodes but not finish them. By the time episode 8 of The Acolyte was released, they lost more than half of the audience that started the television show. And it wasn't because the fans are not for diversity, it's because the show was just bad. And of course, Jodie Turner-Smith is not the only one playing the blame game. Especially with The Acolyte, there's been a trend going on, especially the people involved with The Acolyte, the actors, the actresses, the showrunner Leslie Headland, Kathleen Kennedy, even Bob Iger. Instead of taking responsibility for this failed project, which cost more than $200 million, which is insanity. Instead of taking responsibility, they lash out at the fans, blaming them for not liking their horrible show. I don't know why this is a new trend. It's even happening with the new Rings of Power television show, which I will get into in another video. Blaming the audience, blaming the fans, doesn't change the fact that the show failed. And I don't understand why this is a trend going on right now. Like I stated, the ratings were horrible. Not just that, the viewership. The numbers don't lie. People just did not like the show. And honestly, that's all there is to it. Bad writing, bad acting, bad storytelling, huge plot holes throughout The Acolyte, and that's why it failed. And I think another huge reason why people didn't like this show is because people did not connect to it. It's because the show focused on pushing an agenda other than telling great storytelling. Turner-Smith went as far to say that these so-called toxic fans are the reason why the show failed and why it was cancelled and a second season was not renewed. And if she really thinks this is straight up delusional. Like I stated before, the show just didn't do well. Ratings were horrible, 18% Rotten Tomatoes. Only the first 2 episodes made it on the Nielsen top 10 list. That's because it was a 2-episode premiere, but none of the other episodes were on the top 10 list. And on top of that, it was the lowest viewed Star Wars project, again, the lowest viewed Star Wars project to ever be created. And on top of that, having a huge budget over $200 million did not help as well. Turner-Smith saying this is definitely a bold claim. But let's be real here. The blame lies with Lucasfilm and the whole team behind the Acolyte, not the fan base. Turner-Smith also went on in regards to how great it was to work with Leslie Headland and Kathleen Kennedy. She praised their focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion, but the reality is the audience just didn't care for the final product. And Jodie Turner-Smith, the fans are not rejecting diversity, equity, and inclusion. They were rejecting the poor storytelling from the Acolyte. And she has to know this deep down. If she doesn't, like I said, it's straight up delusional. I feel like she's coping for this failed project because they had so much hope for this show. What's crazy is diversity, equity, and inclusion, their top priority for the last several years. And it's been evident like shows like The Acolyte. When your focus shifts from creating great storytelling to pushing a personal agenda, this is what happens. Even The Last Jedi looked better in comparison to the mess that The Acolyte turned into. What does this mean for the future of Star Wars? And is Disney ever gonna learn from their mistakes? But with shows like the Skeleton Crew coming up, it's really hard to be optimistic. It's really hard to be excited for shows and films coming up from Lucasfilm. Question is, will Lucasfilm keep prioritizing diversity, equity, and inclusion over good storytelling? And to be honest, it doesn't look like anything's going to change. For the last 12 years, Kathleen Kennedy took one of the biggest IPs to ever be created and completely flushed it down the toilet. She took George Lucas's dream and completely destroyed it. And it's at the point where Star Wars is unrecognizable. And this is not just for Lucasfilm and Star Wars, it's for Marvel and the live action remakes that Disney has been making. Look at the upcoming live action remake of as Snow White and Gal Gadot as the Evil Queen. This film coming out in theaters this upcoming March is filled with Disney's DEI agenda, and on top of that, they're facing so much backlash because of it. With Disney, it's one failed project after another. The only exception was Deadpool and Wolverine, which I don't really consider that Disney. I feel like that was more Ryan Reynolds and his project. It was a one-off, which I absolutely love Deadpool and Wolverine. And honestly, Disney has been losing millions, if not billions of dollars the last 12 years since Kathleen Kennedy took charge of Lucasfilm. And as most of us know, she will be retiring soon, and hopefully someone takes her place that's actually passionate about these projects. And if not, if worse comes to worse, we may get another Kathleen Kennedy, and of course, this person will be doing the same thing Kathleen Kennedy has always done. But all we can do is hope for the best, and we can't let Bob Iger off the hook for all of this. Bob Iger greenlit all these projects. He is the CEO. Everything goes through him before it goes through production. Alright, so I'll end the video right here, so please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Leave a comment down below what you think of this new trend of the actors of these films and television shows blaming the audience for their shortcomings. In my opinion, it is insanity. How can you possibly blame your audience for your failed project? It doesn't make any sense. Calling your audience bigots, calling them racist, just because they don't like a television show is not right. Bob Iger, Kathleen Kennedy, Leslie Headland, they need to take responsibility for this failure. And Bob Iger especially, he is the CEO. At this point, it's obvious that he is the worst CEO Disney has ever had. And I do respond back to every single comment I get. Thank you guys for watching again. Peace out, and I'll see you guys in the next video.